The following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Hey, welcome everybody, and hello again from the Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. It is once again time for Huddle Up on this Thursday, Bearfest Village tailgate day in Southwest Missouri. Austin Bradley, Darren Archer, myself, Guy Newcomb, and I tell you what, when it comes to radio satire, this man knows where it's at. Johnny McNeil, and why he don't go get it, I don't know. What is going on, Johnny Mac?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Huddle Up. Once again, your favorite show here on the Missouri Sports Network. We're kicking it off here right now this Thursday. College football is happening. St. Louis Cardinals. We're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to talk about the Mizzou Tigers and the MSU Bears. And we're going to break it down with some local high school sports to end off this power hour. How is everyone feeling today?
I'm doing great.
Feeling good. Good.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Everyone's revved up and ready to go. I can feel the energy. Austin, we are loving it. You had a new house. You just twinkled your nose and got you a whole new refrigerator. You're looking very suave back there, my friend. You look like everyone put Clorox on the walls. It looks very good. DA, what the hat? What's the hat? What's the hat? What you got on today, baby?
I had to bring out the camo.
Bring it out. Bring it out. Bring it out.
Break out the red, white, and blue camo.
I love it. And Guy, what are you wearing, brother? What's your hat game? What's your hat game today?
Hey, this is in honor of, Bobby Petrino and the SMS Bears, or Missouri State Bears. I've got that hat on.
Retro 1980-ish, whatever you want to call it. And of course, I'm sitting there right now with my St. Louis Cardinal hat on, and which is where we're going to start off today, gentlemen. Glad you're here. Let's rev it up. Let's get it going. Hey, the Cardinals are doing their thing right now. Hottest team since the All-Star break. Pujols is at 695, and I'm going to start it off right here. I'm going to tell you guys right now, he will not get 700. Anybody want to dispute that? He won't make it, gentlemen. Guy, I know you really a Pujols guy. I know you got on Pujols underwear and Pujols T-shirts and all that good stuff. He will not make 700, Guy. Tell me, am I right or am I wrong?
Hey, I think you're wrong, and I hope you're wrong. I hope he gets two more and gets 697. I think he'll do that. But they are playing the worst against the worst pitching teams in the league over the next 30 games. He's got to get there. He's up now. He's hitting 196 off of right-handed hitters. He's hitting 366 off of left-handed hitters. I think he gets there, and I think right now the Cardinals lead, and they're putting it out of reach. He's going to play every day. If Ollie Mormile doesn't put him in the game and understand the significance of what he's doing every day when the race is over, put him in the game. He'll get it.
I can't see it. I think the pressure's too big. I think if he does do it, he'll do it on the road. But I can't see him hitting 5 in the last 30. I just don't see it. DA, I know you're probably rooting against him, or maybe you're not. What are you thinking, my friend?
Definitely not rooting against him. Just the Cardinals, Johnny. Just the Cardinals. No, I think he's going to get it. I really do. He's going to see a lot of young pitching for the rest of the season, especially with teams in the division like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. They're going to bring up young kids, see what kind of arms they have, and they're going to make mistakes. I mean, they're going to serve a few up on a golden platter, and he'll send them to Big Mac land. And I honestly do. I'm rooting for him. I hope he gets it done. It'd be a great accomplishment. It'd be good for baseball. I mean, you consider after the lockout this spring and people kind of down on baseball with the contract dispute and the big money that's being thrown out of here. Hey, here's a guy that's still playing just because he loves the game. I'm sure rooting for him.
Well, I think conventional. Everyone's going to say yes. I think he will. But I've stepped back and being the sports guy that I am, I'm looking at this through a lens of not getting the pitches you want and chasing pitches that you kind of think might be there and they're not. I don't think he wants to take a walk. I think his strikeout rate to go up, and I think he'll miss it by one. Austin, what do you think, sir?
I think he misses it by 3. I think he gets to 697. I think he overtakes A-Rod, and I think that's it. It's going to have to be some real favorable matchups, in my opinion, for him to get it, because I don't think people are going to just go in there and throw him a cookie. I don't think they're going to do that. He's going to have to face a lot of lefties, and if he does that, the chances go up the more lefties he faces. But he is still not good against right-handed pitching. And I don't want to say not good, but significantly worse than he is against left-handed pitching. I think he gets to 697, and that's it. I hope I'm wrong.
Agree with that. I don't agree. I agree with you. There's a reason why in our Brady Bunch setup right here, you're right beneath me. We are like the same, my friend. I agree with you. And you brought up an interesting name there when you said Alex Rodriguez, and he's chasing us, Alex, by a couple home runs, but also, I think there's another person we might need to bring into it, which is Aaron Judge and his chase also. But I don't know why everyone's just completely discounting what Barry Bonds did. You could say steroid area or whatever, but right now it's back to Roger Maris, and I don't know how I feel about that right now. But DA, I don't know if you have a take on that, but I like to know if you have any thoughts about why everyone is dismissing what Bonds did, and now the chase is on for Maris.
I just think because of the steroid accusations in the past 15 years, that has really come down hard on a lot of players, kept them out of the Hall of Fame. I think it'd probably, and to be honest, it'd be easier to name who wasn't on steroids in that area as opposed to who was, if we're going to be very honest about things. But, you're talking Mark McGwire, Roger Clemens, amongst many, many more that are first ballot Hall of Famers that are probably not going to get in just because of the steroids. And it's still an accomplishment. I hate to see the asterisk. People mention the asterisk or the the steroids or what have you. He still got it done, and you can even go back as far as Pete Rose. I don't know. It's up for debate, and I have my thoughts, but once again, 50% are going to agree with me, 50% are not, and I think that's kind of where it's at right now.
Look, let's please not bring math back into this equation, knowing how bad Austin was last week with the math deal. But Austin, I'm gonna let you hit before I bring the slugger in, the home run hitter, Mr. Guy Newcomb. What are your thoughts on him and not really chasing Bonds anymore, but chasing Maris?
That's such a tough conversation to have. I really feel that way. Because you look at it, they just handed Tatis an 80-game suspension and he wasn't using. Apparently, he was using a steroid to treat ringworms. These guys in that time, they were using steroids, knowing that it was going to help them hit home runs. So when you look at it that way, you say, well, maybe there should be, but at the same time, just like DA said, you go way back in that time. It was everybody knew it. Everybody knew each other were using steroids. So it's a tough conversation to have. And I don't feel like it's my place to make a call, honestly. I do think that Barry Bonds is definitely overlooked in a lot of areas, and he shouldn't be. Because at the end of the day, I think even McGwire is acknowledged. He's acknowledged as to where Bonds is kind of just almost erased. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a great opinion. I just don't think, I've never thought that steroids, I think it enhanced your body and your ability to continue to play and your ability to generate strength. But to barrel up a ball at 95 miles per hour is a talent. And Barry Bonds was one of the best hitters, not just for power, that I've ever seen with my own eyes. Mr. Newcomb, give us your take on this whole chase of history. by Mr. Aaron Judge?
Well, I think number one, it comes down to with regards to the media and their ability to talk about Judge and Maris they kind of coined it off as an American League record. This is a Yankee record. You know, when Bonds and McGuire did it, they were both in the National League, and I think that's how they justify that is it's an American League record. Now, whether or not Bonds and McGuire, the use of the steroids and things like that, medically, physically, it wasn't going to help barrel up a fastball like you said. The only situation they got into was they recovered so much more quickly. And baseball is a sport that, football Mondays are terrible. You're in the training room, you're in the ice bath, you don't get that in baseball because Mondays you're back on the field. And that's a situation where it just allowed them to recover quicker, and they were much more dangerous that following day after a 162 game season that you play in 211 days. And that's where it aided them was their ability to stay healthy and recover quickly. But with regards to Judge and Maris, I think the media and the people are justifying it by saying it's an American League record. He's going after a record that was done in the American League. And what Maris did, he wasn't doing steroids. He was smoking 2 packs of Camels a day and pulling his own hair out when he went through that stuff. And that's a different era. Judge, obviously, the technology with regards to healthy and diets and working out, things like that, much more advanced. But I think what Judge is doing is amazing, and I don't mind to hear him on a daily basis talked about chasing 61 because that was the number.
Yeah, I do, but I'm going to leave it at that. I understand you made a lot of valid points. I just think that they're trying to erase Barry Bonds, and that's fine. And I there's a part of me that understands it. But here's what we're going to do, gentlemen. We're going to table that for another day. I did want everyone to understand that the Cardinals did place Dylan Carlson on the IL for 10 days. They bought up Alec Burleson, and they optioned for a designated for assignment, Connor Capel. So there's a couple moves that the Redbirds did make. Gentlemen, we're going to wrap up this Redbird section here. Anybody got anything they want to say outside of DA? He's excluded from talking anything about the Redbirds in this section. But I'm looking forward to. I'm waiting for the weather to get a little chilly. I have to put on a little jacket. That means it's playoff time, baseball. I can come in, watch the game, turn my heat on. I can't wait. I can't wait, gentlemen. I can't wait. So if you don't have anything to say, we're going to move right into our next segment, which is where DA and everyone else will probably have a lot to mention. Maybe the Chiefs open up this coming Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals on the road, and they are 2.5-point favorites. Now, me being the man that I am, I would probably take the Chiefs, knowing that I'm not a Kyler Murray fan, but they are 2.5-point favorites. And what do you guys think about the Chiefs in that spread and how they'll come out and play this week? Austin, I know you're a big Chiefs guy, or you live in Missouri, so you better say that because they'll throw rocks at your house. But what are your thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs and how they'll be against Arizona this coming up Sunday?
Well, first of all, people are going to come to my house, but I am not a Chiefs guy. But I think they win. I think they win this weekend. The big question mark for the Cardinals is, are they going to have J.J. Watt? I'd seen that he is still day-to-day. I think that he makes the world of difference. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins due to the suspension. I think the Chiefs come out and win. I hate giving scores, so I'm not going to give you a score, but I think the Chiefs come out on top.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your view, son. We got to get you to start loving giving scores. Then you could come back the next week and be like, what I told y'all. DA, my friend, what do you say? You say win, lose, overtime. What do you say, brother?
Boy, that's a scary game to start off with on the road. I'm with you. I'm not a Kyler Murray fan. We'll see if he's been watching film this weekend, though. But if this is a tough call. I like the Chiefs to cover. But as far as a final, I'm going to say 35-32. It's going to be a high-scoring affair. I think both defenses may be a little suspect right out the gate, and I think both offenses are explosive. They're well balanced. You got two quarterbacks that can scramble. You've got a pretty good running game for Kansas City, a very good running game for Arizona. Here again, it's going to come down to defenses. I wouldn't sell my house for either one of those defenses probably, and definitely wouldn't pick them in my fantasy leagues. So I'm calling it now. I think Chiefs cover the spread and get a very good start to the season.
Just barely covering that guy. He got almost a backdoor cover somewhere. He got 32-32 and then a field goal as time expired. I mean, DA went big, and then he said, well, 32-35. It's 2.5, brother, so you didn't have a lot of room.
Still covers the spread, and it's still paying.
I love it. Well, we'll save the resident expert for last. Guy, bring us home, my brother.
No, I'm not an expert. I didn't even know DeAndre Hopkins was out. I picked him last night in my fantasy league. What the heck is going on? That's ridiculous. But it's 2.5 on the road. I mean, 2.5 at home, that's a wash. But 2.5 on the road, that's a trap game. You've got a situation with the Chiefs. Number one, they were the worst at as far as getting to the quarterback a year ago. And I think that's got to be an emphasis. And then you started with Kyler Murray, who's the toughest guy to tackle in the backfield outside of maybe Lamar Jackson in the NFL. I think the Chiefs cover. I think Andy Reid is the best play caller in the NFL. And when you give him a week off, he wins. You give him a freaking offseason off, he's going to win. So I think Chiefs 35-10 maybe. So that's a huge spread. But I think they got to make a statement. Everybody talks about freaking Tyreek Hill. Oh, I'm sick of dadgum talking about Tyreek Hill. He's gone. He's in Miami. Who cares? He's not a Chief anymore. Don't bring him up when you're talking about the Chiefs. Just quit talking about it and talk about Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a little bit banged up a little bit at this time. But, hey, I think the Chiefs win. They win big, and they shut a lot of people's mouths.
It hurts me to even hear you say Juju Smith-Schuster. That just brings a taste of nastiness to my mouth. Look, guy, where I'm from, you have a little taint of you be called a hater just a little bit. Tyreek Hill made a good move. He's in Miami. They're gonna miss him. I would call this game more along the lines of Chiefs 34, and I do think Arizona put at least three TDs. They'll get to the end zone 3 times. I'd say 34-24. It'll be somewhere around there. But, gentlemen, that's our first segment. Appreciate you. We'll come back. And up next, we'll jump on the Missouri Tigers, and we'll talk about how you guys felt didn't look like. And when Missouri State Bears, who a week ago got a victory, and they're right back up tonight hosting the Tennessee Martin team and that beat them last year. So we'll be right back on Huddle Up. Thank you for watching.
You want to go out, Walter? Let's go.
Pace yourself.
You call that defense?
Make it quick, buddy.
One evening as the sun
That
went
should
down,
shed some light on the
fire
subject.
was burning.
Where'd you get that bone, pal?
How you doing? I got a package for you.
No, Walter! He's a civil servant!
That's incredible.
Oh, yeah. It's a Chevy Silverado Trail Boss. This thing's built for off-roading right from the factory.
No, I meant the cat.
It's like nobody's seen a cat before.
The Chevy Silverado Trail Boss.
Hey, Walter, let's get this man some hot cocoa.
Oh, that sounds good. Find new friends, find new roads. Chevrolet.
Welcome back, everyone, to Huddle Up here on the Missouri Sports Network. We're excited to be here today. Hey, this Thursday, it starts out the college football season. The college football week. And we're going to talk a little bit about Missouri Tigers and the Missouri State Bears. As you can see, I got my Bear hat on right now. I'm not wearing a Tiger hat. I don't care what you do. You couldn't pay me enough unless it hits 6 figures. With that being said, we're going to jump into Missouri Tigers right now. They struggled a little bit in their opener last week against La Tech. They did come back and put 52 on the board, ended up winning 52-24. Luther Burden, the St. Louis kid, the 5-star prospect, really didn't rush a lot. Three times for 26 yards. It's just very electric runs. And so Missouri struggled, and I was a little bit concerned that they would, because I don't know what they're really trying to put together there at Mizzou. But they do sit here and they get a little bit of that Big 12 action coming up here in a couple of days when they travel to play the K-State Wildcats. Gentlemen, let's open up the floor here with Guy. And thank you back with us is Guy and DA and Austin. Gentlemen, let's open up the floor. What do you think about Mizzou's game last week, and what do you think they'll do this week?
Well, I think they got to get Luther Burden the ball, and I think that's why he rushed the 3 times he did. They're going to hand it off to him because he's a playmaker, and I know he's just a freshman, but he's a guy you want to get your best athlete, the best guy that you have on your team. You want to get the ball in his hands, and they obviously weren't able to do it through the passing game. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that is getting him the ball in the backfield. They lose their leading rusher from a year ago. They got to have somebody put yards on the board and touchdowns and ball in the end zone. And I think that's the guy that's going to have to do it for him, especially, with what they lost from a year ago. And I was unimpressed. They get a 28-point victory. I am unimpressed with Mizzou, and I picked them at 4-7. So we'll see what happens, DA.
Yeah, I'm a little perplexed on what to think, but I can tell you this: being in the coaching world for 30 years, I did not want to bank my postseason chances on my very first game, if you know what I mean. So, there's a lot of growth to be done. They've got some new faces. They've got some things to figure out. I still like the direction that the team is going. We learned a little bit about them last week. I think we'll learn a lot more about them this week when they're playing a formidable Big 12 foe and, former conference opponents. So looking forward to this week. I think that will kind of give us a clue or an insight to what the rest of the season may hold.
Austin,
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Austin. You're up, my friend.
Okay, yeah, I think, they beat a La Tech 52-24. They struggled kind of out of the gate, turned it around, ended up winning that game pretty big. I think next week, I think it's hard, kind of like DA said, to go off your first game. You have those first games that some of them don't go well just because, rusty. Practice and a game is not the same thing. It's really not. It's two completely different settings, regardless of how well you run your practices. I think that this Saturday they're going to play K-State, and again, that's a former conference opponent. They've seen them a lot throughout the years. Time will tell. K-State coming off a win 34-0, a shutout win over South Dakota. So 2 teams coming off wins, and should be a good game on Saturday.
Yeah, neither of your South Dakota teams scored a touchdown this week. One of them playing K-State, the other one playing Iowa. They didn't find the end zone at all out of the Missouri Valley Conference, but they still had good showing at Iowa.
Well, here's the problem I find, gentlemen, with Missouri is that you gave up 24. Now that's three touchdowns and a field goal, the conventional way. And to me, you got to be able to control up front. Missouri should dominate a team like that. It should be one of those scores where you're completely dominated up front. You should not see that end zone 3 times, and you shouldn't be close enough to get there for a 4th one and have to end up with a field goal. That concerns me up front. What can the Tigers do to stop K-State, which had a pretty convincing 34-0 win over South Dakota, even though it's an FCS school in our conference in Missouri Valley, but they're still a very formidable opponent, and they shut them down. They did what they should have did. They put up 34 and gave them none. So I'm just a little bit concerned about Mizzou. I'm not backing off my 6-5. We'll see what happens this week. Gentlemen, the other game a week ago that we all were locked into a week ago from today was Missouri State versus the Central Arkansas team. Missouri State pulled out a 27-14 win, but I'm telling you, they struggled. I watched it. They struggled, and I'm a little bit concerned about what they have up front. and seeing how they're going to be able to dominate the line of scrimmage, which I don't think they'll be able to this year. But Austin, I'm not sure how much you like the Bears this year, but tell me what you think about them struggling to dominate up front and get their running game going.
Okay, first of all, sorry about that phone ringing right there. But yeah, I think that you've got to be able to protect your quarterback. I think you've got to be able to protect your running backs. And if you don't have a strong offensive line, then you can't do that. You can't do either one of those things. And if you can't protect your quarterback, most of the time you can't win games. So I think that's something that it's their first game of the year, just like Mizzou, just like everybody. It's their first game of the year. You don't want to read a ton into it. I think that we'll see a lot this weekend against Tennessee Martin. But yeah, I think the offensive line is going to have to get stronger in order for them to be successful.
Well, this is a team that beat them a year ago, that ended their season. You know, a year ago, there's a revenge factor here. There's a game at home that's here. You've got a lot of new faces. I mean, I know Jason Shelley was still in the backfield a year ago in that last game of the year. He's gotten better. You've added Stetson Moore, to that tight end position. He out of Liberty. He's a stud. He's a difference maker. This is number 5 versus number 14, coming up later tonight. And, I'm headed down at 4 o'clock today because I'm going to be in Bearfest Village. Today I want to see that atmosphere. I want to know what's going on, and it's going to be exciting. And I know there's an NFL game tonight, but there's no high school games tonight. There's nothing going on in Springfield, Missouri, Southwest Missouri. You need to be at this game. It's a Thursday night game. Let's pack it. It's number 5 versus number 14. This is the biggest game, opening game, home game that Missouri State's played in 30 years.
Sounds to me like Missouri State needs to hire a guy as a promotions guy. Man, guy, you got me going now.
He put that was audition tape, right? That was his audition tape right there.
Hired. Get this guy on a payroll. No, I like it. There's a lot of excitement around Missouri State football. And Johnny, we talked about this last week. Probably hadn't been this much since back when you were playing. Especially this early in the season, it's kind of been, well, let's wait and really see what they're going to be like. And I think everybody now is thinking, hey, this team's for real. They're going to be tested tonight. I mean, they are going to be tested. And it's a good test right out of the gate. They turn around and play Arkansas next week. You hope that they're not looking toward that game, with it obviously being a big money game, but more or less for the players, their chance to say, hey, I should have been D1. First home game, though, hopefully that gets them focused in. Like Guy said, this is a team that put them out of the playoffs last year, and there's got to be a little bit of a revenge factor. I like the Bears' chances.
I do too, and I know Tyron Scott left the game a little bit. It looked like his ankle might have been banged up last week, but before he left, he had 8 catches for 160. He made it look easy. He made it look simple. And I can't go without I can't let the segment in without the big hit that Dylan Thomas put. I thought he killed I really thought that quarterback was going to have some serious injuries to his head and facial tissues and things like. I'm not really sure. DA, I know your nose was messed up a couple weeks ago, and I can't really say it looks any better now. But that kid got hit hard.
He got the wood taken to him. I mean, buddy, he had to trip to the woodshed, and he did not come back. That was one of the hardest hits I've ever seen, and the poor guy didn't even know he had it coming. Probably still doesn't know who hit him.
He did. Well, he came back and played, though. I mean, he didn't play that good, but it was. But I tell you what, man, the one thing I'll take away is that they got the victory. They pulled out Jason Shelley as a stud. He made play after play. I'm excited, Guy. Guy, do me a favor if you can. Make sure you cut this segment up. Get this reel of you just being the pro-Bear person that you just were for that minute and a half. Take it down to the Bearfest Village and see if we can get it on the big screen, my friend. I guarantee you'll get a job. But no, we're all happy for the Bears. They played. They did what they had to do. They came away to victory. They got the excitement level still in town. And so we're excited to see what happens later on today over there at Plaster Stadium. So the Tennessee Martin Skyhawks from the Ohio Valley out of Martin, Tennessee, will be in town later on tonight to take on the Bears. Down there, get the Bears. We'll come back and we'll wrap up the show here. Local high school football features, and we'll talk about some of the fall sports that are capturing our attention here in Southwest Missouri. You're listening to Huddle Up here on the Missouri Sports Network.
I couldn't ask for a better agent, for a better company in a time like this, in a disaster where you have no idea where to start.
I learned that there's not a given in life. It takes a team. There's people that are going to watch out for us and that care.
It's been pretty stressful. Once we saw Lori and got our plan, it's a lot better now.
It was like a huge weight lifted.
Welcome back, everyone, to Huddle Up here on the Missouri Sports Network. Glad you're with us. Been an exciting show today. We're going to go ahead and start right into one of our last sections here. We're going to talk about state football all over the state of Missouri. That's hence the name Missouri Sports Network. We cover the entire state, so we want to talk about teams that might not necessarily be on your radar, but it's great football. Great things are happening in our state. And we got a lot of things we want to talk about. Also, we got some local sports that we're going to get into. And so sit back, relax, learn a little bit from us. Listen, we're glad you're here. And I want to open it up to talk about some of the state schools that are just really their programs are taking off. And it's exciting times here in the state of Missouri. Great football being played here. And I'm excited to talk about it. DA, give me a little bit of give the audience a little taste of what they can go out and see on a weekday, on a weekend here in Missouri when it comes to college football.
Yeah, college football. Obviously, Missouri State. We talked about them, ranked number 5 in NCAA D1, FCS. In Division II, Northwest Missouri State, household name in Division II national rankings. They come in this week at number 3. And then Culver Stockton in NAIA is ranked number 24 in the nation. So a lot of good programs, a lot of good football around the state. Great time this weekend to go out and catch some of those games. Get out and support your local colleges and universities.
Big time. And I know the high school football, I mean, there was a time when Missouri high school football took a backseat to a lot of the surrounding states. But right now, Missouri high school football is taking a backseat to no one. And I know our local resident expert, Guy Newcomb here, is going to give us a brief recap on some of the games last week that caught his attention and that really were games to be mentioned here on Huddle Up.
Well, and just, a week ago, here on Thursday, Webb City, they rebounded well. They took on a Carl Junction team. They beat them 47-7. The reports of Webb City Cardinal demise after that week 1 loss to Nixa were greatly exaggerated. And, then Willard, who had, they'd scored 72 points in that opening round or opening week game with Neosho, a Willard team that scored 85 points all of last year, scored 72 in their opening game. Now, they went and took it on the chin a little bit to Joplin. Willard's going to struggle in the COC, but Frank Tristan, their second-year head coach, he's done a great job, trying to get numbers out. He's got a good quarterback in Roten, who is a household name around here when it comes to quarterbacks there at Willard. And then you had, maybe a little bit of a surprise is Jeff Shore at Camdenton has already announced that this will be his final year. There's been a Shore walking up and down that sideline at Camdenton for 50 years in Southwest or at Camdenton, and they go to Kickapoo on the road, and a Kickapoo team that had a lot of guys coming back. They've got great numbers out. Nate Thomas does a great job at Kickapoo, a Kickapoo team that was up 21-3. And I know, Johnny, you were at that game. but Camdenton comes back. They get the touchdown, a 2-point conversion to cut it to 21-11. Then they go on and finish out the game and win 24-21. That was a little bit of a surprise. And then Glendale and West Plains, those were 2 games in town last week that featured probably the top 4 contenders in the Ozark Conference, and Glendale and Kickapoo, the 2 home teams, both lose and lose late in those games. So some great games going on in Southwest Missouri, and specifically in the 65806 area code, there in Springfield. So I know, Johnny, you were at that game. Your daughter's in the band there at Kickapoo, so you got to take in a little bit of that. What was that atmosphere like?
It's a great atmosphere. I played with Jeff Shore at Missouri State SMS back in the day, so I knew the way he was conducting himself on the sideline. He wasn't scared being down 21-3 in the third quarter. He kept pounding it, kept doing that quarterback draw, kept running it up in there, giving them. Kickapoo had a couple of injuries on their defensive line, and which I knew was going to hurt them. But and so he stuck to the plan with what good coaches do. He stuck to the plan, got a late score. His son, Bear Shore. I wonder where he got that name from. Bear Shore made a couple of good throws, and they were able to come out. It's a great atmosphere. I just love there's something about going to a high school football game that if you don't get the chills and if you don't want to go back and do it all over again, you must either you didn't play or you didn't understand it when you did. Because seeing those guys, those kids, those young men compete was something special. But yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time, great atmosphere. And yes, I had my binoculars and I was watching a specific young lady in the band do her thing. I was so proud of her. But with that being said, I also understand some of the other sports around. And I know there were some big upsets, if I'm not mistaken, as far as volleyball concerned on a local level. Guy at Austin, let's start with you. I know you cover a lot of volleyball. Tell us a little bit about it, then we'll go to Guy. I know there's some games that you guys are very excited about, and I think that our viewers really want to hear about.
I haven't seen a lot this past week. I know that this coming weekend on Friday and Saturday, there's going to be a big volleyball tournament down in Cape Girardeau, the Dig for Life tournament. I know that Summersville goes just about every year, and there are teams from all over, class 1 through 6, and it's a good opportunity for teams that are smaller and teams that are bigger to kind of see each other, get that adjustment. I mean, I've been following not just Summersville volleyball, but the area, the Big Springs Conference, and around that, Mountain View, Houston, all of those towns. And there are some teams that they go down there struggling. They come back and they look like a completely different volleyball team. That's kind of the benchmark early on in the season. I think that's going to tell a lot about a lot of these teams. I know Mountain View is going, Houston's going, Licking, Winona, everybody around my area, all of those teams, that we talked about last week that I said watch out for. They're all going to be there. They're going to play each other, so it should be a great weekend of volleyball down there.
Well, in volleyball, Austin, in your area, volleyball is king. I mean, you don't have teams that are stretching out on in front of the Friday night football lights down in that area. People are going in the gym. They're smelling that popcorn. They love their volleyball, and hence you've got that atmosphere. Winona has been to several state championships. Mountain View, Liberty. I know we talked about this last week. We're in the Springfield area. The volleyball is kind of centered around maybe a Kickapoo, a Nixa, and obviously a Willard. And one of the big games this past week was a Hillcrest team that I have family on. I've got a niece that coaches. I've got a niece that plays, and I've got a sister that is their band director. I don't know what she does over there, but she takes care of feeding them. My dad drives food everywhere over to them. They get a huge win over a Willard program that they haven't taken to 3 sets in more than since 2009. I mean, that's 13 years ago, and they went 3 with them. That was it. They didn't win. They went 3. They come out on top, and then they go to Cassville, on Tuesday night of this week and get a 3-0 win. And that's a Hillcrest team that could make some noise in the postseason because they're just class 4, so they don't have to meet the Kickapoos and the Nixas, went down the road. Now, the problem is that district across from has got Elias Catholic in it. So if they win that district, then they're going to face a nationally ranked Elias Catholic team that's really good. But no, it was a lot of fun this week. And then you look at the softball tournaments. Morrisville, you think of Morrisville, you think, do they have Wi-Fi? Well, they're lucky they even get the mail, let alone Wi-Fi. But they had a huge softball tournament, where they had Carthage come in. They had a battle out of Columbia come down. They had Glendale. They had Camdenton in. And a little bitty team out of Sherwood wins that tournament. A little Class 1 team comes down. Paul coaches there, and I know Johnny knows Paul. We had some time to visit with him here last fall, but they come down and they win that tournament. They win it going away. So softball, volleyball, those are things. Hey, if it's not Friday night, there's still going to be things you can get out to. You can go out and support the kids. This is a lot of these kids were freshmen, sophomores when COVID hit. They lost those seasons, and so they are really putting out right now this year. This has been the first year we're really in the fall that COVID really has not been mentioned, and people aren't wearing masks unless your last name is, Keith Newcomb. You're not wearing a mask again, but he's doing it because he's 80. So you see that, but a lot of times just get out and support these kids and support these programs, even if it's not football. I know everybody loves the football. My fondest memories are laying down on that 20-yard line to stretch, pregame with the lights on and the music on in football. But it's the same atmosphere if you get into these gyms and get onto these fields. I would encourage you to get out if you've got an opportunity.
I completely agree with you, Guy, and thanks for that wrap up on some of the local sports. And also, get out, support, and that's what we're all about here. So, hey, we're going to come right back. You're listening and looking at the Missouri Sports Network's Huddle Up show. And we'll be back here in a second in the program out with
Welcome to the cottages at Fairhaven Cove. This resort spans 12 acres on a quiet cove on Table Rock Lake. You will feel right at home in one of the newly renovated cottages. Options include studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom units. These units have been beautifully redone from floor to ceiling and offer both comfort and style. Each cottage has a fully functional kitchen, deck, or balcony with incredible lake view and outdoor entertainment area complete with a grill. Whether a couple or a family, the perfect space awaits you. RV parking at Fairhaven Cove is now available to all guests as well. This is an ideal spot for a weekend getaway or family reunions. 4 full hookup RV parking sites are offered. Each site is complete with a picnic table, grill, Wi-Fi, and digital TV upon request. All guests have access to the numerous amenities that Fairhaven Cove offers. 2 boat docks are available for use. You can take a dip in the lake, fish, or house your boat. Cape Fair, Missouri is not only a great location for boating and water sports, but is also known as the bass capital of the world. The calm waters of the cove is the perfect place to have your next adventure. The resort offers kayak and paddleboard rentals to guests. Life vests are always included. There is a playground for kids to enjoy and hiking trails to explore. An in-ground pool is sure to make a splash with guests of all ages. And what better way to end the day than around a fire? A large fire pit is available for s'mores, fun, and memories. These amenities and more will be sure to entertain you and your family. The Cottages of Fairhaven is on the quiet side of the lake, near Cape Fair Marina and Flat Creek Restaurant. A short drive will take you to Silver Dollar City, Branson Landing, the show boat Branson Bell, abundant shopping, shows, museums, and some of the best golf in the Midwest. Reach out to your host today to book your next vacation.
We're back here on Huddle Up at the Missouri Sports Network. We're going to wrap up our night here. We're going to wrap it up today with What Are You Thinking? It's our segment. It's kind of a round robin here. We'll go around really quick. We're going to do 2 rounds today and let everyone kind of get what's on their mind. Here's how this works. You just simply say, you know what, this is what I've been thinking about, and here's why I've been thinking about it. We'll go really fast. I'm up first. I am really thinking about what is Tom Brady going to do to the Dallas Cowboys this weekend. I'm really excited about it. I know he's been going through some things, but it is Tom Brady, the greatest ever. I'm looking forward to it. That's what I've been thinking about. What about you, Austin?
I'm thinking about the National League playoff race. I think that The Braves tied the Mets. It's tied up in the NL East now. The Cardinals are trying to catch them. Trying to catch them both.
I'm thinking about college athletics in Missouri. 37 programs in fall sports are all ranked in the top 25 of receiving votes in their respective divisions. Great showing by Missouri sports teams.
Hey, I tell you what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about that brisket and those brats at Bearfest Village here at 4 o'clock today. Getting in there to that tailgate. It's been a long time since I've enjoyed that, and there's been a game of this magnitude in the stadium on the campus of Missouri State University.
I love it. I'm going to go with round 2 here, our final round. I'm telling you what, I saw a good movie. If you got any good movies, the documentaries, hey, send us a shout out. I want to know what you got. I saw a good documentary called Untold, Operation Flagrant Foul, about Tim Donahue, the NBA referee. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Netflix. Great show. What about you, Austin?
Well, first of all, I'm thinking about how Guy is going to be the social media promotions manager for the Missouri State Bears here within the next couple weeks. But as far as a movie goes, I am 1,000 to 1. It's a story about a young man had a stroke and his journey back to the basketball floor. Take it on, DA.
I'm thinking about 2 things. Number 1, Guy, don't forget about us when you make it big time. Number 2, Johnny, let's go fishing, man. Looks like you're ready to go.
Hey, and I tell you what, I don't know if you guys got Netflix, but that Manti Te'o documentary on Netflix, what a sad story. How is he at Notre Dame and so stupid to fall for that? I mean, do they not have an entrance exam? How did that happen? But I got into that, and what a sad story. But that's one thing I have paid attention to is the Manti Te'o story.
I did see that. It was a good one. Hey, everyone out there, thank you again for listening to Huddle Up here on the Missouri Sports Network. We appreciate you. We'll be back again next Thursday, right here, same time, same place. Thank you for watching. Go support your local teams. Go Bears, go Tigers, go Cards.